Hi guys, so in this video we're going to be taking a look at Autobeat. So this is a Max for Live device created by the guys over at K-Devices, and it's also an Ableton partner instrument, which means that you can go directly over to ableton.com and purchase it from them. It is effectively a step sequencer, but it's a lot more inspirational than that, in that we have some random options. We can randomize, for example, the probability that notes might play in the step sequencer, and we can also randomize the velocity. And there are a few other tricks that it's got up its sleeve. Now, I'm not going to go into it in a huge amount of detail because there's a step-by-step video already on the K-Devices website, which is k-devices.com. Instead, we're going to look at it in a practical environment and add a few different elements to a loop that I've already built. So let's just play this so we can hear what we're starting with. Okay, so we're going to start by adding some glitchy vocal stuff to this. Now, I'm going to do a very quick overview just so you get an idea of what Autobeat is doing. So I've got let's just solo this. I've got a drum rack here with some vocal slices on it. Here's the first one. And what we've got with Autobeat is that we can draw in notes just like you will in a normal step sequencer. But this bar represents the probability that the note will play. So when it's at 0, there's no chance. And when it's all the way at the top, it's going to play every time through. So if we just play this at the moment, you can hear those playing. And if I was to add another one in around about the halfway mark, you can hear that sometimes it's going to play and sometimes it isn't. So we can draw these things in as well as draw in the velocities for each of those notes. But the real fun starts when we start randomizing, and we can randomize per pad and we can randomize globally as well. And you'll see that every time I click this, we're getting different notes appearing, and also you can see each of these other grids are sort of minimized versions for each pad, so you can see what's happening when we click globally. We're getting a bunch of different patterns coming out for all of the pads. Now, Autobeat sits in front of anything, your drum racks, your other Ableton devices, third-party synths, samplers, and effectively you can have it play just on its own, or it can have a MIDI clip playing with it, and this can enhance the information that's coming from the MIDI clip. So as it stands, what we're going to do is add some sort of glitchy vocals. If I just enable through and bypass, through is going to allow the notes that are already in the MIDI clip that I've got up here to play as well as Autobeat. But because I've got bypass on, we won't actually hear Autobeat at the moment. So what this loop is just a glitchy loop that I picked from a library and use this slice to drum rack command. So originally it sounds like this. So Autobeat's not working at all at the moment. I'm going to get rid of that clip. We don't actually need that. And instead we'll work with Autobeat. So let's activate that again and have a listen to what we've got. I'm just going to go through each pad. At the moment you can see only slice 1 is or slice 13 it's called in here, and that's incidentally worth pointing out. If you use a drum rack, Autobeat will pick up the name of each of the pads, which is very, very handy. So I've got them all muted except for the first one. Let's now have a listen to what this sounds like with the track, and we can just randomize this pad over and over until we find something that we think goes. So I'm going to go with that, and because I quite like the pattern that it's got, I've just pushed the chance up of that happening every time. That gives us a little bit of a base to work with as we add some of the other slices in. just play this now on its own. Let's turn the volume up a touch. You can hear the sort of vibe we're getting. So it's good because it has a level of consistency to it, but it's also got some other changes in there, keeping things interesting. Now, what I'm going to do with this is use the store clip function, which is great. It just allows us to select a 1, 2, 4 or 8 bar clip, and it drops it straight into the track using all of the different parameters and randomizations we've already set up in Autobeat. So let's have some 2 bar clips in here. Now, some of you may have been looking at this wondering, whilst I had everything muted, what was the reason instead of using the solo? Well, one of the other cool things with Autobeat is that if the pads are muted, they appear deactivated in live. So they are there, and I could reactivate them if I wanted to give them a try and see what they come out as. So I've now got various things that are captured. I can go in, use this through option again so that these MIDI clips play, and I don't want Autobeat adding any more randomization. So again, I've taken it out of the equation and just captured effectively what it was doing. And you can now use all sorts of things like follow actions, for example. So we could come in here and have these on legato. And let's have this first one so that after every 1 bar, it will play any of the others. And let's have all of the others so that after 1 bar of playing, they go back to play that first one. So we're always going to get the first half of this clip playing over and the second half of any of the others. So we get sort of more controlled randomization in a way. So let's have a listen. And so on. And of course you can go in and edit it down and play with it from there, but it's a great way to start, very inspirational. So next up, let's go into the hats and have a look in here. So this time, very similar scenario. I've got a bunch of different hits in a drum rack. Hopefully you can hear them, they're pretty quiet. They are variations on my offbeat hat. So I've copied the same sample over, and I've just done a few things like adjusted the start marker so that we don't get the transient on that one, and added a nice fast delay on it. And you can see quite clearly here Autobeat taking these names across makes a bit more sense when they're not called slice 1, 13 and so on. So here we've got the end rolled off, so this one's quite a sharp hat, this one's got a delay on it and so on. You get the idea. So this time what we'll do is play this and randomize everything. And let's have a listen to that with the hats. So you can hear there's a few glitchy bits in the offbeat anyway. But now we're getting this other added lower level layer, and I will just keep this. I won't bother capturing anything from this because it will just keep going. And again, it's got a degree of consistency about it because some notes will play very, very often because they have a high probability and others won't. So we can just have that as a texture that plays along with the track. So last thing we're going to look at is just a melody. I think I'm going to take the vocals out for this so we can hear this a bit more clearly. So on this track, a little bit loud, sorry about that, let's turn that down. Got a sort of pluck type sound. And Autobeat, this time we're going to change the mode of the pads. So previously I've had this on chromatic, which means that these go up in a chromatic fashion, every single note on the keyboard. But I can change this so that we get a minor or a major scale. I'm going to go for minor, and you can see now these are the notes that are in C minor. And so now we can actually play this to get some kind of melody out of it as well. So I've got my synth set up so that it's monophonic, so I can't get more than one note play at once. We won't end up with any chords if these are playing notes at the same time, and so we'll get a more melodic type vibe out of it. So let's just have a listen and see what it's going to kick out from the off. So that's probably usable straight off the bat, to be honest, but we can go in again and randomize. And if you find that the pattern's too busy, again, it's really easy just to mute a few different things out, or rather than have 4 different notes. This is what this indicates here, that every time I hit random, it's going to add 4 random notes in every single time. Wipes the slate, adds 4, wipes the slate. I can have this as busy as I want, or just go back to having something more sparse. I think 4 seem to be working well, so let's have another listen. Now, what I actually did with this prior to starting the video, when I was having a little play with this, was I just changed the pattern length for C1, it being the root note, the tonic. I wanted something that just played over more consistently, just to give my melody a little bit more of a bass. So you can do little tricks like that as well with it. So let's have a listen, let's see what this sounds like. So again, straight away, an inspirational start, and we can start adding different notes in, see what we like the sound of and what we don't. And of course we could capture this out, and another great thing is perhaps you could capture it out and then turn all of these pads off, have your MIDI clip playing through a pattern that you like, that you found and perhaps adjusted, so you've got that melodic idea, and then maybe have one note set up here with some randomization, so you get the odd little note that plays again to make it more interesting. So it's good for ideas for your melodies, creating little riffs or perhaps little melodic effects. So all in all, I think it's a really inspirational device, and certainly something that we'll be using a great deal of here. So hopefully you found the video interesting. It's a very, very cool plugin if you're looking for something to help kickstart some ideas or add a little bit of organic textures or extra hits to your track. As always, if you've got any comments, do let me know. And once again, you can check out more about this at k-devices.com or grab yourself a copy at ableton.com. Take care.